Okay, I'm Allisyn from BrainPop. I used to be a classroom teacher, and I've been with BrainPop for 7 years now. We do have apps. We have apps that show our featured movie of the day. I'm not sure how many people are familiar with BrainPop. I'm not going to talk about it too much, actually, but they've been downloaded over 2 million times. We've got apps for multiple products, BrainPop, which is 3rd grade and up, BrainPop Junior, which is K through 3. We have one for BrainPop Espanol, another one of our sites, etc. But something that we're very passionate about at BrainPop is game-based learning. And I noticed on the wall, one of the blue posters over there said something like, how do you get your product discovered? So that's what I wanted to show today. Off of the BrainPop homepage, it's called GameUp. I just happen to have it loaded in another tab. We'll skip to that. So GameUp is a collection of what we feel are the best quality educational games out there. They're free, they tie into the curriculum, they're all aligned to Common Core and state standards. And we've partnered with many amazing organizations, universities, museums, nonprofits, and small indie game developers. And what we're doing is we're taking the games and we're bundling them with support material and background knowledge. So I'm going to show a math game from one of our partners, which is the University of New Mexico's Learning Games Lab, BAR. It's a great series of games called Math Snacks, mathsnacks.com. And this is a game that kids get to practice combinations of 10. So you've got the game featured in the big box up here, and then below the game, you've got BrainPop topics, short animated movies that tie into the content that's being taught in the game. So I might use this game to practice combinations of 10s with my kindergartners, or fractions as the game gets more complex as it progresses. I might use the game to introduce this topic to my kids and get them really eager to learn about it before I even taught them the material, and then take a step back and maybe show a BrainPop movie to build their background knowledge on the game. Another partner of ours is from MIT Education Arcade. It's a game called Lore of the Labyrinth. Oops. I'll go back to our math games. Is anybody familiar with these, the Lore of the Labyrinth games? So these are part of a bigger experience. If you look at Lore of the Labyrinth, there's a bigger narrative, but they've provided us with 3 of their games. I guess you could consider these mini games within the bigger game. Each of them start with this cool graphic novel style intro, and then you go into the game. It's a great example of a game. There's no directions. Chris and I were playing, and Marge were playing last night, and I just kind of handed it over to them, and they kind of just started experimenting and clicking, and kids have no fear of that. They will jump in and they will click and figure it out. They don't need to be told what to do. And it's great when they try things and it doesn't work out. So I encourage you to look at this game. I wish we had more time that we could play it together. It's called Lore of the Labyrinth. This one is called Employee Lounge. And GameUp is brainpop.com/games. So what I like to do with this game is I might introduce it to my whole class together, and then after a little while, I might, after we've progressed a little bit and kids start understanding the gist of things, I'll send them off to play in small groups. And then as I'm wandering around and observing my kids, I might notice a group here is kind of stuck on this concept. So I might say, you guys pause the game for a second and watch the movie on equations with variables, and see if that will help you get unstuck from that part of the game, and so on. Or I might play a game with my students and say, like, hello, 3rd graders, you guys were just doing algebra. Like, that's craziness, but that's what this game is teaching. What we also feature on the game is our lesson ideas, which are lesson plans, video clips, graphic organizers if it's appropriate, assessment tips, anything we could do to make teachers' lives easier to implement these games. And so that's all provided for each game. You can see the standards alignment over here. We feature any of the support materials that our partners have created, and we also create additional support materials. Let's see. Am I forgetting anything? Yeah, so, okay, that's what I'm forgetting. Okay, time's up. So if people are...
and keep talking
okay.
about step the next demo.
Sounds
That's
good.
it.
Okay.
And then let me know if you want response from people.
Okay. Well, so two things. One is a lot of people here have been demonstrating amazing looking apps. Something to consider is perhaps providing a browser-based version, Darren? A browser-based version of their app? To even if it's a truncated experience, a demo experience to help get the game out there. BrainPop has been around for a very long time. It's a very trusted site. So that's something that we're able to help out with, getting great games in front of more kids and teachers. So if anybody is interested in discussing that, Karina and Laura and I are all here. And I guess one thing that I'd be curious for the scale is how likely are you to consider creating, if you don't already have a browser version of your game? That would be my first laser question.
Do you have any questions before we get to the laser? Thoughts?
Well, I was just very curious to hear why browser-based games haven't come up at all this week. Because I know, at least at PBS Kids, there's a huge push for the mobile web and HTML5, which of course is extremely clunky and expensive and has audio problems. Anyway, but in schools in particular, they're still predominantly using browser, right? That's what
we've found. I don't think we can assume yet that every classroom has a set of tablets, let alone a single tablet in some cases. But we are at a point where every classroom has at least one computer. We're definitely encouraging movement towards HTML5 so that you could have a browser-based version and a mobile experience as well.
Okay, so lasers then. You guys get your lasers out. And how do you want to frame the first one?
So how likely are you to consider creating a browser-based version if right now you only have an app?
So 1 would be unlikely and 10 would be likely. There's definitely a strong cluster on the 1s and the 10s and a strong distribution. No 2s. Scott? Absent, but camera's running. Anyone who wants Scott Trailer's camera is there.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it looks like Ann has one more time.
Yeah.
I would love to do it because I want huge impact for the kids. However, it truly needs the finger, so I couldn't.
Yeah.
I've tried
It's
it
the
with a mouse
multi-touch.
and it doesn't work.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. I've just come across a game by Filament Games that made a math game. It's called Satisfaction. It's just an interesting example to look at where it would be amazing on a tablet, but they made it work
It's just for little kids.
But yeah, I understand that. Some it just work.
I just wanted you to know that.
The interest
would
is
if I
there, but
could.
it doesn't always work.
Yeah. I have an old one that did it.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.